Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Guru Jai, Guru Jai, Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Jai Guru Jai, Guru Jai, Guru Jai. Jai Guru Jai, Guru Jai, Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Jai Guru Jai, Guru Jai, Guru Jai. Jai Guru Jai, Guru Jai, Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Jai Guru Jai, Guru Jai, Guru Jai. Jai Guru Jai, Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Guru Jai, Guru Jai, Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Jai Guru Jai, Guru Jai, Guru Jai. Jai Guru Jai, Guru Jai, Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Guru Jai, Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda Jai Guru Good evening, everyone. We are very happy to be together to celebrate the sacred moment of Mahasamadhi of our great master. When I was preparing on what we could do tonight, the thought came to me how beautiful it would be to listen, to tell the experiences of those who were there when Master left his body, and we created four, it's not really lectures, but sharings, four sharings of people who were there, present at that moment, or who were disciples of Master and lived the impact of this moment. And so we will listen to the Indian ambassador, Mr. Sen, and his wife, who have been guests of Yogananda during the last days of his life. We will listen to an Indian devotee who was in India in the moment of the Mahasamadhi, and she will tell us about how they lived this moment. We will also listen to Durga Ma and to Swami Kriyananda, two of the closest disciples of Master. And in the end, we will have a ceremony, a candle offering. For those in the temple, we will do it here, offering the light to the altar. For those following from home, you can offer with all your devotion a candle on your own altar to Master. So we will start with Madam Sen and the Ambassador Sen from India. Namaste. I am Madam Sen, and this is my husband, Binay Sen, Indian ambassador to the United States. We have been asked to share with you our experiences with Paramahansa Yogananda when we were with him in March 1952. Yogananda-ji invited us to Los Angeles to visit his center and attend a banquet in our honor. We arrived, and I remember very well that day. Do you remember it too? When we arrived at Mount Washington and the sun was shining and the air was beautiful. We heard the birds singing. It was an enchanted place. And we arrived with 6 other Indian guests. And this was on March 4th. And Paramahansa-ji and the other devotees welcomed us with so much love. They showered rose petals on our heads, and they gave us flower garlands. It was a real special moment. Yes, I remember very well. It was really a wonderful day, and I remember with all my heart that when I greeted the Master, he looked at me straight in my eyes with a big smile and said, "I am your humble servant." And I received such great love, such great humility I perceived in this great person. And then, do you remember the disciples led us in a tour? We saw Mount Washington and we went up to the first floor. And when we came down, we met Paramahansa-ji and we had a first informal meeting, and we talked about India and his mission in America. And the General Counsel, Ahuja, said something very important. He said, ambassadors may come and go, and also general councils may come and go, but you, Paramahansa-ji, you are a true ambassador of India. Afterwards, we were invited to have lunch at the Self-Realization Center in Hollywood. First, we went to visit the little temple, and it was so sweet, so beautiful, so full of light. And also the gardens were really well kept, a beautiful, special place. And then we were offered lunch, and it was a wonderful Indian lunch in the India Hall next to the temple. And we ended with sweets that Paramahansa-ji had prepared with his own hands for us. Yes, really, I remember very well this lunch and these really good sweets, I remember. And in the afternoon, we went to Lake Shrine, a beautiful place, and we walked together with some disciples, and they greeted us in such a joyful way. They gave us beautiful garlands with white and red flowers, and then we walked around the lake and we saw all the beauties, and we also saw the World Peace Memorial that contains the ashes of Mahatma Gandhi. And at the end of the tour, our guide asked me if I was tired, and I replied that it was one of the most beautiful days of my life and that I was not tired at all, and that I would have remembered this day forever. And this is a beautiful spot, I said, and I hope someday to see it with Paramahansaji. And I was so inspired at Lake Shrine that I wrote a letter to Yogananda, and I want to read it to you because I don't want to miss not even one word. I wrote, "It is very hard for me to express my appreciation of the hospitality and friendliness we received when we visited Mount Washington yesterday. It was most interesting and enlightening to me to see the wonderful work you are doing in this part of the world, and I was very grateful for the opportunity to know about this. On behalf of my whole party, may I thank you, and with you, your fine work in interpreting India and Indian philosophy to the people of this country." Yes, it was really a very special day. On March 6th, 2 days later, my husband invited Yoganandaji to breakfast in our hotel. Yogananda, and I was surprised because he entered walking, because during those times he had difficulty walking, and I was touched to see how he made sure his disciples had enough of everything. He wanted to be sure that they had enough money to have their own breakfast while he was eating with us. After breakfast, one of his disciples asked him if he wanted a wheelchair so he could return to the car. And he looked at his disciple and said, "Mind can do anything." And so he, walking, accompanied us out to the car, and he talked with my husband about India. The next day, on March 7th, we again joined with Yoganandaji at the banquet at the Biltmore Hotel. And I was very honored because I was sat really next to the master and my husband was on my right. Yoganandaji was so happy to be able to talk with us in Bengali during this dinner. After the meal, Yoganandaji rose to speak, and it came naturally to me to do pranam to him as a sign of my gratitude for this great soul, thanking him for his service to our country and also to the American devotees. The master spoke briefly, and in the end, he recited his poem, My India. On the last word of the poem, he lifted his eyes and slid quietly to the floor in mahasamadhi. For a moment, no one could believe what had just happened. And then we understood that the master had left us. We were, of course, shocked and sad. It didn't seem real to us. But I felt so deeply blessed that I was present in this sacred moment. In fact, really, it was like this. Even though we were shocked and sad, we didn't really perceive a grieving, but we had immediately the understanding that we had just witnessed an extraordinary event. And shortly after his passing, I was asked to speak. It was, of course, difficult, but I managed to say, if we had a man like Paramahansa Yogananda in the United Nations today, probably the world would be a better place than it is. To my knowledge, no one has ever worked more, has given more of himself to bind the peoples of India and America together. I feel a great personal loss, but it's not a personal loss only, but a loss to our country, India, and also to this country, America. He was born in India, Yogananda. He lived for India and he died with the name of India on his lips. A few days later, I also spoke at his funeral and I said the following words. I have come here to pay on my own personal behalf and on behalf of my country my homage to Paramahansa Yogananda. I met him only a short time ago, yet from the moment I first saw him, I felt almost overwhelmed by the love he showered on me. I realized that his affection was not so much for me personally as for his country and mine, India. I feel honored to come here and pay my respects. In a bodily sense, Paramahansa Ji is gone, but in the sense of true brotherhood, he has not died. Death has no victory on him. Namaste, great souls. My name is Devaki, and I am here to give testimony on how we lived these moments in the ashram of 𝗓𝗓𝗩𝗓 in India during the passing of Guruji on March 9th, 1952. It was an ominous day. At 10 in the morning, we received a telegram from Rajarsi Janakananda that said, "Dear brothers and devotee disciples, our beloved Guruji has left his body on March 7th during a speech at Biltmore Hotel in the honor of the Indian ambassador. His celestial temple has risen to the infinite, but his heart will not go on anymore for his disciples on earth. It was Divine Mother's will that he would leave this world reciting the poem, My India. The last words of this poem was the moment of him parting to immortality. It was like a thunder. It was a very dark moment in our lives. And we met in the prayer room to honor the great soul of Paramahansa Yogananda and to remain in prayer for days. The next day, we received another telegram. It communicated to us the date and hour of the commemorative service that would have been held in Los Angeles. In that moment, we gave the news to the devotees, to the relatives, to friends, to the admirers of Paramahansaji, and we met together in that moment to pray and meditate in silence. It is used in India to do a 10-day mourning period, and that's what we did. And after that period, we had a celebration where we met all together in a beautiful room of the ashram, decorated completely with white flowers, with lilies, and it was beautiful to see the garlands and all these flowers that covered the pictures of Master, and we all felt the vibrations of his sublime soul. Then, on March 23rd, we had another ceremonial feast remembering our Master, and we invited 𝗟𝗜𝗩𝗘𝗙𝗕 Mukherjee, a revered disciple by Swami Pranabananda, and he addressed the assemblage with these beautiful words. He said, "The great soul that is Paramahansaji came on earth with a tremendous mission. You need not be overwhelmed with grief for his passing away from this world, freed from the limitations of flesh and blood. He has entered into eternity, and his all-pervading spirit will now act more widely through all of you. To pay respect to him truly is to follow his teachings, sincerely practicing Kriya Yoga, and to spread the timeless message of the great gurus of India." 500 persons were present to honor him with deep reverence and devotion. A recording of the voice of our beloved Swamiji was played. In this recording he sang, "Oh God, beautiful," and we all felt thrills of inspiration sweeping over us while we listened to his voice. A calm and serene atmosphere pervaded the ceremony, leaving us with the impression that Yoganandaji's sweet eternal spirit was hovering nearby, bathing us with his immortal blessings and giving us courage and hope for the future. Thank you, Master. Now I invite the choir to come and we will sing 2 songs.
Ora ascoltiamo la voce di Paramahansa Yogananda che canta il suo canto cosmico Dio splendido, Oh God beautiful, e vi invito di chiudere gli occhi e cercare di assorbire non solo la melodia e le parole, ma la vibrazione di questo grande maestro.
Dio splendido, Dio radioso, Dio splendido, Dio radioso.
Come, sing with me and feel you are singing to his listening presence right within you and around you, everywhere. Oh God, beautiful, oh God, beautiful, oh God, beautiful, at thy feet, oh, I do bow. At thy feet, oh, I do bow. Oh God, beautiful, oh God, beautiful. In the forest thou art green. In the forest thou art green. In the mountain thou art high. In the mountain thou art high. In the river thou art restless. In the river thou art restless. In thy ocean thou art brave. In thy ocean thou art brave. Oh God beautiful, oh God beautiful, oh God beautiful, oh God beautiful. At thy feet, oh, I do bow. At thy feet, oh, I do bow. Oh God beautiful, oh God beautiful. To the serviceful thou art service. To the serviceful thou art service. To the lover thou art love. To the lover thou art love. To the sorrowful thou art sympathy. To the sorrowful thou art sympathy. To the yogi thou art bliss. To the yogi thou art bliss. Oh God beautiful, oh God beautiful, oh God beautiful, oh God beautiful. At thy feet, oh, I do bow. At thy feet, oh, I do bow. Oh God beautiful, oh God beautiful. In the forest thou art green. In the forest thou art green. In the mountain thou art high. In the mountain thou art high. In the river thou art restless. In the river thou art restless. In thy ocean thou art brave. In thy ocean thou art brave. Oh God beautiful, oh
Buonasera a tutti. Io sono 𝗓𝗪𝗪𝗡.
Good evening, everyone. I am
Sono la
𝗓𝗪𝗪𝗡,
discepola del maestro
and
Paramahansa
I am
Yogananda.
disciple of the Master
Sono
Paramahansa
stata a lui
Yogananda.
vicina
I
e ho
was
svolto
very
molti
close to
ruoli.
him, covering
L'ho
many
servito con grande
different
gioia
roles, and I served him with great joy.
e da lui ho assorbito
And from
direttamente lo spirito
I
del canto
absorbed
devozionale.
directly the
Mi ha insegnato
spirit
che il
of
canto è preghiera
devotional chanting.
e che
He
è un
taught
metodo
me that
meraviglioso per
chanting is
interiorizzare la
prayer,
mente
and that it
e
is
per
a
sentire Dio
beautiful
come
method
calma.
to interiorize the mind
E
and
alla fine mi ha
perceive
chiesto
God
di
as calmness.
prendermi cura di
And in the
𝗓𝗪𝗪𝗔𝗓𝗔
end, he
Janakānanda,
asked me to take
il
care
suo
of
discepolo più
𝗓𝗪𝗔𝗓𝗔
avanzato.
Janakānanda, his most
E
advanced disciple.
Ed ero con lui il 7 marzo,
And I was with him on
quando
March
il maestro
7th,
ha lasciato il
when the
corpo.
Master left his body,
E ho scritto
and I wrote
quello che ho sentito come un
what I
diario
felt
di quello che è successo quel giorno
of what happened that
nel
day
libro
in
Trilogia
the
dell'amore
book,
divino. E vi voglio leggere
Trilogy
le mie
of
stesse
Divine
parole.
Love, and I want to read to you my own words.
Quella sera fatale, il 7
On
marzo,
that fatal
verso le
evening, March
21:45,
7th, around
io e 𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓
9:45
eravamo alla
p.m.,
sua scrivania.
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓
Quando il
and
telefono
I
suonò,
were at his desk
ho
when the
risposto
phone rang.
e l'operatore
I
mi ha chiesto
answered,
se volevo
and the
accettare una
operator
chiamata
asked
da
me if I would
Herbert
accept
di
a call
Phoenix.
from Herbert of
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓
Phoenix.
disse:
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓
rispondo
said,
io al telefono.
I'll take the phone.
Vidi la faccia di
I
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓
saw
cadere.
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓's face fall,
Mi disse:
and he said to
il
me,
maestro se n'è andato,
Master is gone,
e mi diede il telefono.
and gave me the phone.
Dissi ad Herbert di dire ai
I
discepoli
told
presenti
Herbert to
con il
tell the
maestro di
disciples
continuare a
present
ripetere
with Master to keep repeating
Om all'orecchio del maestro e
in
di non
Master's ear
fermarsi
and not
e di
stop,
richiamarci
and to
subito
call us right
per
back
dirci se il
and
maestro
tell
stava
us if
bene.
Master was all right.
Dopo un po'
A while
chiamò
later,
il signor
Mr.
Fredericks.
Fredericks called.
Risposi al telefono
I answered the
sperando
phone,
di sentire
hoping
che il
to
maestro
hear
stava
that
bene,
Master was all right.
ma invece mi disse
But
che i medici
instead,
presenti
he
in
told me
albergo
that the doctors
lo avevano
present in the
dichiarato
hotel had
definitivo.
pronounced it as final.
Riattaccai il telefono
I hang up,
e dal profondo
and
della
from the
mia anima
depths of
cominciai
my
a chiamare
soul
il
began
maestro a
calling
gran
Master,
voce dicendo
loudly saying
Om.
Om.
E nel mio
And
dolore
in
feci
my
un commento
pain,
poco gentile a
I
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓.
made an unkind remark to 𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓.
Gli dissi:
I said,
volevo andare a vedere
I
il
wanted to
maestro,
go and
ma
see
tu hai voluto
Master,
aspettare,
but
tu
you
aspetti
want to
sempre.
wait. You always wait.
Più tardi mi ricordai di ciò che il maestro ci aveva
Later, I
detto
remembered what
quando il suo
Master told
maestro
us
lasciò
when
questa
his
terra.
Master left this earth.
Disse: la Madre
He said,
Divina sapeva
Divine
che non
Mother
avrebbe
knew
esaudito la mia
she
preghiera
would
di
not
tenere il
grant me
maestro
my
sulla terra
prayer
più a lungo
of holding Master on
e mi ha
earth
impedito di
any
essere
longer,
presente quando
and
se
she
ne andò nel
prevented me from
mahasamadhi.
being there when he left in
Ora
Mahasamadhi.
credo fermamente
I
che era
now
desiderio
firmly
della Madre
believe
Divina che
that it was
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓 non fosse
Divine
lì con il
Mother's wish
maestro
that
e che lei
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓 not
gli
be
mise in
there
testa il
with
pensiero di
Master,
aspettare.
and she put the
La
thought in
madre
his
conosceva il
mind to
profondo amore
wait.
del maestro per
The
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓
Divine Mother
e
knew
non voleva
Master's
ritardare
deep love
ulteriormente la vita del maestro su questo
for
piano
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓,
mondano.
and she did not want to delay Master's life on this
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓 non
mundane
disse
world
nulla a
any
questa
longer.
osservazione. Era disteso
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓
sul
did not
divano
say
senza
anything
una
to this
lacrima.
remark. He was
Venne da
lying
me
on the couch without
e cercò di
tear in sight.
consolarmi
He came to me and
perché le
tried
mie
to
lacrime
console me,
scorrevano incontrollate.
whose tears flowed unchecked.
Dovetti chiamare gli 𝗬𝗢𝗓𝗓 che erano nella chiesa di San
I
Diego a
had
tenere una
to call
lezione.
the Lewises who
Povera
were
signora
in
𝗬𝗢𝗓,
the St.
tutto
Diego
quello che
Church
potevo
giving
dire
a
al
class.
telefono era:
Poor Miss Lewis.
il maestro se n'è
All
andato,
I could
mamma,
say over
il
the
maestro
phone
ci ha
was,
lasciati.
Master's gone, Mama,
Lei
Master
continuava a
has
dire:
left us.
ora controllati,
She
che stai
kept saying,
cercando di
now
dirmi?
control yourself. What are you trying to tell
Quando
me?
tornarono a casa le
When
dissi
they
cos'era
came home, I
successo.
told her what had happened.
Prendemmo accordi per
We
andare a
made
Mount Washington con
arrangements
2
to
macchine
drive to Mount Washington
e
in 2
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓 mi
cars.
disse: è
And
meglio che
𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓
guidi io,
said to me,
non sei in condizione di
I'd better
guidare.
drive. You are in no condition to
Arrivammo
drive.
alle 4 del mattino.
We arrived
Noi
about
4
4 a.m.
entrammo nell'ascensore
The
nel
4 of us
seminterrato
entered the elevator in the basement.
e dissi alla signora
I
𝗬𝗢𝗓𝗓𝗓:
said to Miss Lewis,
mamma, Darei qualsiasi
Mama, I
cosa se
would give
potessimo entrare nella
anything
stanza
if we
del
could go
maestro
into Master's room
e trovarlo seduto
and
sul
find
bordo
him
del
sitting on
letto
the edge of
che
his bed,
dondola le gambe
swinging
mentre
his
ci saluta.
legs as he greets us.
Ma questa volta non fu
But this
possibile.
time it was not to be.
Come posso esprimere la profondità
can
del
I
dolore
express
che scorre così
the
profondo
depth
che
of
nemmeno un
sorrow
sussurro può
that
essere
runs
sciolto
so
alla sua
deep, not
radice?
even a whisper can be loosened from
Dopo
its
aver
roots.
espresso il mio dolore esteriore,
After
mi
expressing my
sedetti
outward
accanto al
sorrow,
suo letto,
I sat at
vicino
his bed,
alla sua
beside
testa,
his head,
e stavo
and was
accarezzando la sua
patting
guancia
his
divina e
divine,
silenziosa,
silent cheek,
quando una pace
when a
serena,
serene peace,
una pace meravigliosa,
a beautiful
mi
peace
venne
came
addosso
over
come
me
una coperta di
like a
conforto.
blanket of comfort.
Ognuno nella
Each
stanza in quel
one
momento mi
in the
disse
room
che
at that
tutti
time
avevano sentito quella stessa
told me
pace.
they all
E
had
fu allora
felt the
che potei
same
apprezzare
peace.
e vedere il beato
was then
sorriso che aveva sul suo
I
volto
could
sacro.
appreciate and see the
Le
blissful
piccole
smile
mani
he had
e i
on
suoi
his
piedi
sacred
paffuti
face.
erano ancora
His
morbidi
little
e
pudgy
flessibili.
hands and feet were still soft.
Anche allora,
and
in silenzio,
pliable.
non versai nemmeno una
Even then,
lacrima.
silently did not shed a tear.
Alcune persone sono così, le lacrime
Some
non vengono
people
nel
are
momento
like
in cui
that.
sarebbe un sollievo
Tears
anche
can't
versarle,
come at a
ma
time when it would
improvvisamente
be
ci
a
si
relief
sfoga
to
più tardi.
shed them, but suddenly it gives vent later.
Nessuno dei discepoli più vicini
None
voleva
of
che il
those
maestro fosse
close
portato via
disciples wanted
subito.
Master to be taken away
Volevamo
just
fare
yet.
un ultimo
We
tentativo per
wanted to make one
assicurarci
last
che non fosse
attempt
solo
to
nel
assure
samadhi, un
ourselves that he
samadhi
was
profondo.
not just in samadhi.
Così
So we decided for each one of us to repeat the mantra Master had taught us in case he went into deep samadhi to bring him back to outer consciousness. I was first. After repeating the mantra a few times, I heard Master's voice say, "Why do you want me to come back into this old carcass?" I mentally answered, "Because we are selfish, sir." He again added, "Leave it to you to tell the truth." But the full conviction came that he was not going to return to us, and each one felt the same. I don't know if they heard Master's voice too, but I do know that 𝗔𝗓𝗩𝗘 told us what Master had told him. I am Om, everything is Om. I will come back into your body and in the consciousness of everybody. Since we were all sure, we let the forest lawnmen take him in preparation for the services in our chapel. 𝗔𝗓𝗩𝗘 wanted to return to Encinitas for the few days that Master was going to be away from Mount Washington. We returned for service. During the service, 𝗔𝗓𝗩𝗘 told me later, I could not speak. The words would not come out, and I prayed to Master, saying, "You will have to speak through me. I can't utter the words." Immediately, 𝗔𝗓𝗩𝗘's voice rang out with such force, everyone noticed. We knew that Master was speaking through 𝗔𝗓𝗩𝗘, for his voice was naturally soft and low, very unlike the one that had just spoken to us all. What words are there to express our feelings at our last glimpse of that divine face we loved so deeply? After all was over, the only consolation we had was that Master had often told us, "I will go ahead to prepare a better place for you all, where we will meet again in greater glory." This is Swamiji. Thursday evening, March 6th. Master returned from a ride in the car. He had asked 𝗬𝗢𝗚𝗏, who was driving, to take him onto Rome Drive behind Mount Washington. There, gazing at the main building, he remarked quietly, "It looks like a castle, doesn't it?" The monks had just finished their group practice of the energization exercises when Master's car entered the driveway. As we gathered around him, he touched each of us in blessing and then spoke at length about some of the delusions devotees encounter on the path. "Don't waste your time," he said. "No one can give you the desire for God. That is something you must cultivate yourselves. Don't sleep a great deal. Sleep is the unconscious way of contacting God. Meditation is a state beyond sleep, superconsciousness, as opposed to subconsciousness. Don't spend too much time joking. I myself like to laugh, but I keep my sense of humor fully under control. When I am serious, nobody can tempt me to laugh. Be happy within, grave, but ever cheerful. Why waste your spiritual perceptions in useless words? When you have filled the bucket of your consciousness with the milk of peace, keep it that way. Don't drive holes in it by joking and idle speech. Don't waste your time on distractions, reading all the time and so on. If reading is instructive, of course it is good. But I tell people, if you read 1 hour, then write 2 hours, think 3 hours, and meditate all the time. No matter how much this organization keeps me busy, I never forgo my daily meeting with God. Some minutes later, in the basement, Master saw a box of green coconuts that had just arrived from Abby George's brother in Florida. Back at the car, Divine Mother was trying to tell me these coconuts had come, but I didn't listen. I was talking too much. Master, laughing genially, opened a coconut and drank from it. But his enjoyment seemed to me somehow tinged with unreality. I looked into his eyes and saw them deep, still, completely untouched by what he was doing. In retrospect, it seems like the heartiness of one who knew he was bidding us goodbye, but didn't want us to know that he was doing so. Catching my glance, he became all at once almost grave. "I have a big day tomorrow," he said. Walking toward the elevator, he paused at the door, then repeated, "I have a big day tomorrow. Wish me luck." The following day, March 7th, the master came downstairs to go out. That night he was scheduled to attend a banquet that evening at the Biltmore Hotel in honor of the Indian ambassador. Imagine, he said, I've taken a room at the Biltmore. That's where I first started in this city. Then again he repeated, wish me luck. Master had asked me to attend the banquet with 𝗖𝗘𝗟𝗩𝗘, the popular singer and movie actor. Dick had recently become a disciple and had taken Kriya initiation from me. Years ago, Master had said, when I leave this earth, I want to go speaking of my America and my India. And in a song about India that he had written to the tune of the popular song My California, he paraphrased the ending of that popular version with the words, I know when I die, in joy I will sigh for my sunny, grand, old India. Once, too, in a lecture, he had stated, a heart attack is the easiest way to die. That is how I choose to die. This evening, all these predictions were to prove true. Master was scheduled to speak after the banquet. His brief talk was so sweet, so almost tender, that I think everyone present felt embraced in the gossamer net of his love. Warmly, he spoke of India and America and of their respective contributions to world peace and true human progress. He talked of their future cooperation. Finally, he read his beautiful poem entitled My India. Throughout his speech, I was busy recording his words, keeping my eyes on my notebook. He came to the last lines of the poem. Where Ganges, woods, Himalayan caves, and men dream God, I am hallowed, my body touched that sod. Sod became a long, drawn-out sigh. Suddenly, from all sides of the room, there came out loud cries. I looked up. What is it? I demanded. 𝗖𝗘𝗟𝗑𝗥, seated beside me, what happened? Master fainted, he replied. Oh no, Master. You wouldn't faint. You've left us. You've left us. I cried out silently. The forgotten playwright in me cried silently. This is too perfect a way for you to go, for it to mean anything else. I hastened to where Master lay. A look of bliss was on his face. Virginia Wright was stooped over him, trying desperately to revive him. Mr. Ahuja, the General Counsel, came over to me and put an arm around my shoulders to comfort me. Never, dear friend, will I forget that sweet act of kindness. They brought Master's body to Mount Washington and placed it lovingly on his bed. One by one, we went in, weeping, and knelt by his bedside. "Mother," cried Joseph. "Oh, Mother!" Indeed, Master had been a mother to all of us, and how much more than a mother. Miss Lancaster gave me an anguished look. "How many thousands of years it took," marveled Laurie Pratt, gazing upon him in quiet awe, "to produce such a perfect face." Later on, after we'd left the room, Faye remained alone with Master's body. As she gazed at him, a tear formed on his left eyelid and slowly trickled down his cheek. Lovingly, Faye caught it with her handkerchief, which she would always preserve. In death, as in life, he was telling his beloved disciple, and through her to the rest of us, "I love you always, through endless cycles of time, unconditionally, without any desire, except for your happiness, forever, in God." The last part of our evening will be the candle offering to the Master. For those of you who haven't a candle yet in your hands, you can take a candle next to the door, and you can come towards the altars, also more than one person at a time, of course, and you can light your little candle and offer your own little light into the light of the Master.
Shri Yogananda, guida portami l'amore. Sri Yogananda, guida all'infinito, vieni nella casa mia, portami l'amore. Sri Yogananda, guida all'infinito, vieni nella casa mia, portami l'amore. Sri Yogananda, guida all'infinito, vieni nella casa mia, portami l'amore. Sri Yogananda, guida all'infinito, vieni nella casa mia, portami l'amore. Sri Yogananda, guida all'infinito, vieni nella casa mia, portami l'amore.
Sri
Sri Yogananda, guida all'infinito, vieni nella casa mia, portami l'amore. Sri Yogananda, guida all'infinito, vieni nella casa mia, portami l'amore.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, beloved Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, we bow to thee all. Beloved Yogananda Ji, live in our hearts, in every moment of our lives. Guide us step by step towards the realization that we are one with God. We are your children. Be with us always. Om. Peace. Amen. Thank you for coming tonight and participating, and we wish you a good night filled with peace and joy.